You're listening to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge.
Hello and welcome to eLearnChat, our new podcast featuring prominent leaders, shakers and movers in the e-learning and training industry. Your co-hosts are Rick Zanotti and Terrence Wing. Hi everyone, and welcome to eLearnChat episode number 17. Here we are today. It is a beautiful, kind of cloudy day over here in Southern California. I am joined today by Terrence Wing. Terrence, hey, how's it going today?
It's going incredible. I don't know. You must be in getting some different coastal clouds than I am, because we're sunny over here.
Yeah, we're totally cloudy.
Oh, okay. See, I'm a little south of you, so maybe that's why.
50 miles, 60 miles makes a difference.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. But great to see all of our fans in the chat room, and I just want to take care of all the administrative stuff so we can get right into all the Learning Solution and the Adobe Summit recap. Some really great stuff happened last week. But for those of you that are having firewall issues, we have a couple of options for you. You can watch the eLearnChat show on justin.tv/RelateCorp, C-O-R-P. You can also see it live on the ISD 2.0 Facebook fan page. That's facebook.com/ISD20. And last but not least, it's on the Liquid Learn website, and that's liquidlearn.com. Just go to the eLearnChat tab. Also want to announce that next week we have Jane Bozarth, who's going to be talking about social media for trainers on the show, so be sure to tune in for that show. Jane is always a pleasure to chat with. Always interesting too. That I think is about all of our administrative stuff, Rick. If you are a chatter,
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. If you're a chatter, then please, one thing that Rick and I were talking about, which we think will be a great idea to sort of expand the show and invite more people into the show, is we're going to encourage everybody to move their chat into Twitter as opposed to chatting in the justin.tv chat room. And the reason for that is that way your fans can follow you while you follow the show. And hopefully they'll gain some interest. So we'll be still monitoring both chats, but we're encouraging greater chat in Twitter. And the hashtag there is eLearnChat. I think that about does it for administrative stuff.
That sounds good. And today we've got a special guest. We have one of our biggest fans, maybe our only fan. Anyway, with joining us today from Australia, he is actually in Los Angeles, is Geoff Blanchard. Geoff, how are you?
Good, thank you, and welcome everybody. Well, if I'm the only fan, I've already said my hellos, but I can see by who's on there that we do have a few other fans here as well.
No, and this is also being recorded, so it will go on Vimeo. Vimeo.com/channels/eLearnChat later on today.
And I see by Terrence's tweet that we've just got an app there, so we can watch it on our iPhones, and
that's true. You can actually watch Justin.tv on an iPhone, on an iPad. I believe it's on Android as well. Yep. It's on the Zoom tablets. Actually, we just got a Zoom tablet.
You did?
It's okay. You know what? I like it, but I'll take an iPad to any day over it. It's interesting. It's a good tablet. It's not bad, but the quality of the apps is still not there yet compared to what you can find on iPad. And it just seems a little more, techy. It's not as intuitive as an iPad. I like the machine. It's nice if you like reading really small fonts, because it is small. It's harder to get the larger fonts on it because it's a higher resolution, but it's not a bad device.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised you got it based on our conversations that we had. I didn't think you were heading that way.
Well, it's really Leslie's Zoom.
I think she has her eye on your iPod though.
Oh, she does. She's getting my old iPad, and I'm getting a brand new iPad, and yeah, we're just moving tablets around. I can't find one. So we're just waiting for somebody to send us one. We've got a couple of tweets out there waiting just for them to get inventory. I guess they're hard to get right now.
Yeah, I think the situation in Japan is slowing up production on just about every level of technology that we can possibly think of.
It is. Well, today we've got a show. We all got back from a show, and that was the Adobe Learning Summit and the Learning Solutions 2011 show. So we've all got some stuff to report back. And Geoff, I actually attended both shows. So he got to see a little bit of everything.
I did. I mainly
Jeff.
predominantly went for the Adobe Learning Summit and got through that, which I enjoyed it immensely. My only problem with the show, there was so many things I had to miss out on, as I had to make a decision on which one to see. But every session was more informative than I would have thought it would have been. So, but I made my decisions, and of course I saw your session, Rick. I couldn't go all that way and miss your section, so
Thanks.
so I had to do that.
That's right. We pay him a lot to say that.
I was sitting in your session too, Rick. So it was definitely worth the hour.
Oh, you were at the Learning Sessions one.
Yes,
the Learning Solutions one.
Solutions, yeah. Yep.
Yep. The better one that we did was at the Adobe Learning Summit, because we had actually a full room and a little more space to expand in. I found the presentation stage really cramped, but that's me. I like to move around, and I felt like I couldn't.
They did even still had it all set up so you could quite easily have brought your laptop, and a few people did bring their laptops
Right.
into the session, but I don't think there was long enough time for people to do that, really.
No, the sessions were a little too short, and I think Adobe realized that everybody wanted to see the other sessions, or at least maybe they're going to film them next time. Because that way you can see, there were, I think, 16 sessions, and you can only really see 4 of them.
That's correct, and there was a lot of things on there on mobile learning, which that seems to be, the way to go with all the tablets and the iPhones out there. It definitely is an important one we need to concentrate on.
Yeah, I saw. I guess there were like 3 things that really stood out to me during the entire conference. And when I say the entire conference, I didn't attend the Adobe Summit. I just attended Learning Solutions. But there was for e-learning and the learning field in general, there were a few new products that were coming onto the market that were either in beta or actually out on the market that were quite interesting and intriguing to see where e-learning is going. Then in regards to the sessions, my biggest takeaway was all the hacks. And what I mean by all the hacks is the way that the community of e-learning developers and designers and instructional designers, the way that we all have found backdoors to solving our problems because the solution doesn't, or the application doesn't really allow us to do that. So there were a lot of great sessions on hacks. And then the networking was quite exceptional too. So it was great to see a lot of newcomers to the Twitter sphere, as well as some of the veterans on there as well. So I mean, those are probably 3 themes that I saw running throughout the entire conference. And
one thing I noticed, having gone to both shows 2 years ago, this one had a lot more buzz going, a lot more energy, a lot more people. It looked like it was really buzzing. People seemed interested. I know Articulate showed Storyline, which I really wanted to see, but unfortunately we had to take off that afternoon, so I didn't have a chance to visit their booth. And when we did go, it was about 4 or 5 people deep, so I really couldn't get in there. I just kind of waved at the guys. There was some other new products. SimWriter was out there. I didn't have a chance to look at them, but I did get one of their demo DVDs, an innovative approach to simulations and branching. So there were definitely some good products that were showing in the Learning Solutions Expo.
I did sit in on the Articulate one. They had a masterclass session for about 45 minutes showing the product. Because one of the things I went there for as well was, I use Adobe Captivate and I love the product, but I wanted to see other things. What other things are around? So the Articulate did quite a good session. The gentleman presenting it showed it to its fullest potential.
Now, were they showing Articulate, or were they showing the presenter, or were they showing Storyline, the new one?
The new one, the Storyline.
The new one. So how did it look?
It looked really, really good. So, included a lot of things that I quite like with the product as well. So,
Well, we're supposed to have some folks.
Haven't used Articulate, but it's always good to see a new product, what's about out there.
Well, as a typical vendor, we use almost all the products. We use Articulate, we used Lectora, we use the Adobe suite. So we use a lot of different products, and they all have their place. And sometimes they overlap, and it really depends also on what customers want. So we work with a lot of the different tools, and what's fun about it is, you start seeing what you like about some tools, what you don't like about other tools, and then you try to mix and match where possible. We have one project right now where I think we've got a Captivate component of it, a Lectora component of it, and a PowerPoint component of it. So we've got a little bit of each, and throw in some PDFs. So it's typical of the projects nowadays. It's more and more I don't see a one tool environment unless you have no choice. And if I had to only go one tool, I'd probably go Adobe because they have the whole suite, which is pretty powerful. But there's a lot of good tools out there.
Yeah, because I also had a look at the Lectora demonstration, and now they're including with that is Camtasia as well as the Snag as well with that. So
yeah, and Lectora is a great tool. We're doing some major projects right now. Terrence is actually helping us on one of those. That's going to be a Lectora project, and we'll probably have a little bit. We may have some Captivate in there. We're not sure yet, but it's a great tool. Very easy to work with and really powerful. So it is fun to see at the show, see all the different vendors, what they're doing, what they're coming out with, all the innovations, and how they're approaching not only regular e-learning but also mobile learning, as well as just the way they're approaching the web over and over, and how some of them are including the social media components, which I don't see as that important. I know other people think it's really important. It just depends on what kind of training you're doing and where it fits.
Yes, because with a lot of the training I'm doing, it's I'm putting training out to a lot of people that don't actually work for me. So it's not in an LMS. So it's a lot of salespeople. You've got to do it quite differently with your own people.
That's true. Now, Geoff, you work for Miele in Australia.
I'm one of their training and development managers for the customer service and logistics area. And I look after their contact centre and the Miele chartered agents, which are the people who sell our products. So they're predominantly the ones I'm trying to get some of the e-learning out to, because they have, say, 20 or 30 people in the store, and they come and go, they move around different stores, and each week there's a different person in the store that may not know how to use our system to place an order. So this is where the e-learning becomes quite good, rather than having a person to need to go out there to train them. They can do a self-paced training course online.
Yeah, that's great. And Miele is, you were telling us, the largest family-owned appliance manufacturer in the world, or distributor.
Yeah, largest family-owned business in the world. Yeah, still family-owned. So
German-based.
Great, yeah, German-based, great company to work for, and I've just celebrated my 10th year with them over the weekend.
Congratulations!
So. Yes, I got a text from my boss congratulating me, which I thought that was really good. Nice.
That's great. No, that's really good. And by the way, I wanted to do something a little special today. You all know Liv Weimeist, who's known as @Lilyberry on Twitter. Well, I just wanted to do a little quick thing for her. Her husband, and I'm going to put a picture of Pierre up. They've been together almost 30 years, and Pierre is fighting cancer right now, and it's a good fight. He kind of went into remission, but it's coming back, and they're fighting it again. And I just wanted to send out our love, our prayers, our well wishes for Pierre's recovery, and for Liv. She's been a real trooper helping him get through this. Pierre is from Africa originally. He's Burundi. Been through a lot in life, and this is one more tough battle to go through. And I just want all of us to wish Liv and Pierre the best, really, and a healthy recovery and a fast recovery for him and for Liv, who's working really hard to help him.
Yeah, our thoughts are definitely with you both.
Yes, I thought so, and I must say, Liv has been there for me when I got into this, the social media and started to get online, the first person to contact me was Leva, and we've been, I've been in contact with her ever since. And I think, if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have pushed a bit further, but she's helped me along the way, and now she's got me hooked into advanced actions in Captivate. I'm stuck on now as well. So.
No, I think it's great. And Leva's helped a lot of people. I know in Europe she's considered one of the top assets or helpers in the community for Adobe, and her reach extends to the States and other countries as well, obviously, because social media has really gotten her out there, and she does a really good job. She's a college professor in Belgium. And again, we just wish the best for her and Pierre. And Pierre, get well soon.
Yes, definitely.
So, Geoff, since you attended both sessions, and I'm sure that we all want to bring something back or change something in our organization based on whatever we learn from whatever event we go to, what would you say is the thing that stimulated you the most that you're going to implement within your organization, whether it's a new piece of technology or whether it was just a new way of applying the technology that you picked up from the session? Any thoughts on that?
Well, the thing I picked up greatly from was just all the other little sessions on how to organize your training, not just to plonk it, not just get a PowerPoint session and plonk it into Captivate, Articulate, or whatever package you use, but just to think about what you're doing. I was quite taken with, there was Sarah Kessler was showing from Studio 80 about sound and how to put things in there. And there's a session on script writing, and that's one thing, to really script it out, and storyboarding. There's a lot of really helpful information on there which you don't usually think about, and which makes it harder if you don't do it correctly. Some of it we've got to a bit high end, but you could take a lot of it and put it into use with all the things you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
And that's really one of the problems with shows. It whets your appetite. You get just enough information, but usually in an hour session, there's only so much you can cover. And but the whole idea is to get your creative juices flowing, get you interested in what's going on, and make sure that you learn from it, that you come back and you can actually apply some of what you've learned and have some fun with it.
Well, definitely with me, that's what I came away with, and I was jotting down furiously, and things like there were sessions there on keeping it legal. So what can you use in your presentations? Because you've got to start thinking about these. The more you're getting out there, you don't want to upset things. You don't want to create lawsuits for the firm you're working for, because you might think it's just internal. But this day and age, everything's available to everybody. Really.
No, and in fact, for example, a lot of people like to put current music in their e-learning pieces, and the problem is that's actually illegal. Because unless you have the rights to the music or you've purchased the rights to it, you can use it and say, oh, it's only internal, nobody's going to hear it. Well, guess what? You have an employee that leaves the company and says, hey, they're stealing music. And now you have a lawsuit and you will lose.
Now, here's a hack. Here's a hack for that, though, and it's a legal hack because it's done with the permission of the music industry, and that's if you're doing anything video-based. So let's say you have a boring bullet-pointed PowerPoint slide, change it into a movie, load it up to YouTube, and then you can use their audio swapping program, which is a library of modern music and usually pop songs, and you can embed those songs onto your new movie, leave it hosted on YouTube, and then play the YouTube video as appropriate. And if you're really that desperate to use modern music or popular music inside of your e-learning course, that's one legal way. And again, I say legal way, not being a lawyer, but at least YouTube is sponsoring this along with the music industry. So that there's an option there, sort of that one of those hacks that I was talking about that you can work around.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. Was it you, Terence, this morning sent the Twitter? There was a thing on YouTube about the hacks.
Yeah, that was actually, it was a retweet from the CLO symposium from Shasha 16, SHA 16. So she's tweeting at the conference there. You can you can follow her to get the inside scoop.
But it certainly makes sense. It is, you know, you can see, even though, and that's another thing I got out of the conference. If you are trying to work around your company's, you know, lack of technology in that, it's not necessarily the company to blame. It's sometimes the people like us who are working for them that's not pointing it out. But sometimes, you know, they try their best, but if they don't know that something's out there, it's our job as well to point them into the correct direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the chat room going?
No questions, pretty quiet at this point. So definitely those of you that are out there in either Twitterville or the Justin chat, please feel free to jump in. Especially we want to know what you thought of the conference, what your takeaways were. Geoff, let me ask you this: when going into the conference, because it sounds like you do a lot of these conferences, going into the conference, what was your goal, and was that goal met?
Well, actually, Terence, you know, I don't do a lot of these conferences. It's, you know, probably the first one I've done, and especially into the e-learning ones. But one of my goals was just to get there to see what products were available. And as I said, I've already started using Captivate, but it was more so to see the community and get myself embedded into it. And so I met quite a good networking session, met quite a few people who were, I thought I was on my own thinking, gee, it's a bit overwhelming, all this, you know, e-learning business. But it wasn't just me. After that, I found quite a lot of people I was sitting on sessions were doing the same sessions as me, so they was all interested in the same thing. So it was quite a good session there. I also did one of the pre-conference days, like the pre-show show, on a whole day of Captivate with Joe Ganchi. Did I say it right, Joe Ganchi?
Good old Joe.
And it was a very good course. You know, when I get back, people will be asking me about Captivate. So doing that course is a good way to highlight, you know, a product and how to show it.
Yeah, Joe's a great trainer. He's been training for a long time, and everybody I've ever heard who's been to his classes just raves about them, that they're very good, and he has a good style in presenting.
And what Joe did, what I really liked, and, you know, I will take this away from for other things. So it wasn't just a session as well. It was before the session, once I'd signed up for the course, he sent quite a detailed email to every participant outlining what the objectives and the goal of the course was, and for us to send him a bit of our work that we've done, if we didn't mind, and did we like to share it with the class. So he had a bit more of an idea of who was in the class. And it was an intermediate to advanced class, but as you all know, you don't know that you're going to get that. So he asked for information so he could gauge what level the people were at, which was great.
Mm-hmm. Lily's asking about storyline, so I just don't want that question to get away from us. But you know, we really, Rick and I should be really mad and not even mention storyline on the show here, because we've been trying to get those Articulate crew onto the show for quite a while.
They keep promising, they keep promising, but nothing yet. We'll have to really twist some arms.
I know. Until they do come on the show, because Captivate has been on. What, did we lose audio?
No, we're good.
Okay, Captivate has been on twice already?
Yeah.
And we haven't heard a peep from those guys. So if you know them, definitely chat to them that the eLearnChat guys were giving them a hard time because they haven't come on the show yet. Maybe that will force them to come on.
And it will increase their sales. That's
right. But Storyline it's definitely a step above, quite a few steps above Articulate. There's a lot more, and even in talking to them, one of the markets that they're trying to tap into is that Storyline is not supposed to be for the new e-learning designer. Articulate Studio is supposed to be for that, or the Articulate Suite is supposed to be for that, but that Storyline is for sort of that next level designer. And there's a lot, there's variables now, there's layers, there's quite a few more Adobe-ish type features, and I know that's the last thing they would want me to hear, but I mean, let's face it, that layering, you know, came from, it might have come from Macromedia before Adobe, but I believe it definitely originated in Adobe longer before.
Well, that's all the old
long before
Photoshop
it did.
stuff. Photoshop's always been layered. Flash was Macromedia, but it was layered. I mean, a lot of the graphic-based tools have always been layered.
Yeah,
It's just that now everything's layered, which makes sense.
it does. Yep.
So did you have a
And-
chance to look at it?
I did. It was quite nice. It definitely had some really interesting and great features that I could see helping with interaction more. So it's a tool worth looking at. You know, this I guess I've learned from you, Rick, and not saying that, you know, it's the right tool for every situation, because we know that, you know, every situation demands something different. So it's hard to say it's better than one thing or better than another thing.
One more tool in the toolbox.
It is, and
Well-
I think it's one that every e-learning professional should be looking at to see if it fits into whatever project they're trying to do.
When's it coming out, Terrence?
They said probably in the summer sometime, but they
Okay.
didn't give an exact date. So right now they were just doing their beta testing and getting people involved with that.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
One thing
And
I
Zebras-
found out at the conference as well, which you know, I was quite pleased with. I seem to know a lot more about the things of some people, and it was all due to eLearnChat and different things with Twitter. And I was still quite surprised that I thought I was relatively new to that, and I was the only one not using it in the world. And I was quite surprised some people still weren't using Twitter and weren't using the things that are available to them. So I know I've learnt so much from the eLearnChat. I know I try to watch it every week and get a lot of information out of that, but it does keep you informed, and you find out all the key important things rather than drowning in a sea of paper of all the things you really don't need to know. So I've been trying. So hopefully after the conference you should get a few more viewers. I kept saying, well, you've got to watch the eLearnChat, and then you've got to watch Gina's section on, you know, the Shrek Tech at 8 o'clock to find out about the new and upcoming products. So I'm selling both of your businesses.
This is great.
today, so-
Terrence, did you get to check out to Geoff yet?
I did.
Good.
He's, except we need you to broadcast that on other shows other than eLearnChat.
What
I think we got a
would
captive
like
audience
to see,
here.
you know, in the future is if we get the audience to a stage where we can have an eLearn conference where we have Gina present, we can have Terrence present, and we can have all the people who come onto your show present and have an eLearn conference.
Yep.
That
Now
would be a
the
great
best
idea, wouldn't it?
the best question I got at the show was regarding this music. You know, Geoff being in Australia said, you know, I like the music, but I have no idea what it's referring to. So I explained it to him.
Now I do. I agree with you, Terrence. It's not very good, is it?
No, it doesn't work with my image at all. You
No.
know, and I think when we go into contract negotiations, I'm going to put it in there that Rick can't play that song.
I can't play it anymore. He likes this one though.
I do. I like that's a jazzy one. I can accept that as my theme song, definitely.
I'm
I-
seeing in
I
the chat room
want
somebody
to,
said I think it's Lever saying it's easy to get addicted, and I must say, as I said, from Twitter, I said it must have been November I got into Twitter, because I was over here in about Halloween. That was the day I got here, and I wasn't into it then. And so when I got back home, I got stuck into it. But it's one of those things you do get addicted to. And that's one of the things I want to get the iPad to, you know, keep in contact with the Twitter. You just can't seem to leave it alone. Now, I better switch off now, but somebody might say something interesting. But it's a bit easier in Australia because everybody, I have to go to bed. Then when I wake up, all the tweets come in.
Well, you know, one of the things I love most about Twitter as a developer and as a company is everybody, for the most part, is sharing what they're doing. For example, Tom Coleman, Dave Anderson, they're always sharing courses that they've done or things that they've done. Stephanie from the Articulate group, they're always sharing things. And as a result, you're seeing this and going, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good technique. Hey, I could take advantage of that. And that's something we didn't have literally 2 years ago, where, you know, you're sharing a lot of ideas and giving other people ideas. And, you know, everything's about sharing, and everybody copies everybody to a certain point, and we all try to better what we see and, you know, and really take advantage of techniques, technology, learning methodologies, and it's just a lot of fun. And not only that, the amount of people that we meet. I can honestly say that I've met a ton of new people through Twitter, and then the indirects through Twitter. For example, I met Terrence. Terrence introduces me to other people. Geoff, we met you. You met other people, and we're creating this whole network of people literally around the world who we never would have met easily any other way. I mean, you just couldn't do it really in a forum or in maybe a forum, but not as easily accessible. So this is it's a lot of fun.
It is.
And I'm the sort of person as well who I don't go out of my way to meet people. I like to stick to myself. With Twitter's quite a good idea because you get people who've got the same likes and dislikes as you, and so you get a connection with them straight away. So it's, I don't have to go out of my way to meet people. That's what I like with Twitter.
Yeah. How did you find that Twitter changed or enhanced, or if it had any effect on your conference participation?
Well, I was a bit disappointed with myself because my mobile phone and that I couldn't keep contact with the Twitter only on my laptop, so I couldn't tweet from the conference. But it really did make a difference because it could catch up on things I had missed out on, and I was catching up on some of yours, Terrence, your tweets, because I did the e-learning conference with the expo and the courses outside, but I didn't get to see the other part, which I was following your tweets on that, which was quite interesting as well. So I also caught up on how Twitter can help you deliver some of your e-learning content. As I followed your little course on Twitter the other day, Terrence, where you're showing us how to deliver content through Twitter.
I thought that was through Facebook, right? Wasn't that through Facebook?
I did them both.
You did both. I didn't see your Twitter one.
Yeah, if you go onto the ISD20 Twitter account, there's a look in the favorites tab, and there's actually a course that's embedded inside of the favorites tab. And the neat thing about that, it's the new Twitter or the newest, I should say, Twitter interface. It's not really new anymore, but it does offer some really unique ways at communicating. And most of us are on TweetDeck or Hootsuite or any of those apps, and we don't really go to twitter.com for much anymore, but there still is some applications that you could, or some ways of applying twitter.com that you can't do with TweetDeck or Hootsuite. So if you're curious, go ahead and check out the favorites tab on at ISD20, and you can see that course, which is basically a course on how to do the course. That'll probably be there for a little while longer. I don't think I'll be doing any newer courses over that one for a little bit of time. So you got time to see that one.
And one thing I noticed at the show, getting back to the show, is that it ran pretty smoothly. It seems like everything was going pretty well. Nobody was really complaining about anything. People looked pretty happy. At the Adobe Learning Summit, they had a couple of general sessions. The ending one was interesting because they asked how many people are on Twitter, and less than 20% probably raised their hands. So it was actually out of probably about 500 people. That was a rather small number. Mm-hmm. So you're right. It still is not that popular with a large group of people, but it's getting there in some respects. Now, they didn't ask how many are on Facebook. I bet you that the hands would have been at least 50 to 70%. But on Twitter, it was only about 20% that were actually on it. And they had a nice little cocktail social afterwards, and it was sort of fun just standing around and just watching people talk. And then, surprisingly, I had quite a few people come up to me saying they liked the show.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who these people were, so it was a lot of fun getting to meet new people and just talking about all the things that we've covered on the show, as well as they love the guests. I've got a lot of compliments on the guests we've had on, so go guests.
Yeah. Definitely. I always, people, when they ask me about Twitter, I always tell them during a conference, Twitter is like a conference within a conference. And especially if you're not at the conference, the back channel is amazing. I just tweeted a link that David Kelly, who is L&D Dave on Twitter, he put together, he didn't attend the conference, but he put together all the resources that people were sending via Twitter, the hyperlinks, the pictures, the blog posts, all that information, and he compiled it into a blog post with links to all that information. That link is on the Twitter under the eLearnChat hashtag, so you can go check it out there. Or you can just follow LND Dave, and you can get it off of his tweet stream. But that's just a great example of how Twitter can extend out the conference beyond just people tweeting, "Hey, where's dinner?"
Yep, and it's funny, we always talk about the back channel. When I did my presentation, I didn't realize back channel was going on until afterwards, and I go, "Hey, we got tweeted," and it was sort of fun watching. That's sort of interesting. And fortunately, it was a good back channel; it wasn't a bad one this time. So fingers crossed, that was good. But it is fun. You kind of forget about it when you're presenting. You don't really think about the back channel too much. At least I wasn't, but it's there. It's prevalent.
See, now I'm the opposite. I actually build the back channel as much as I can into the conversation, especially at conferences. Now, in some situations, you can't really do that because nobody's on Twitter. So if you're giving a session or giving a workshop or something and nobody's on Twitter, it doesn't really have a lot of impact, although it could still have some. But during my sessions, I refer back to the back channel. I set up a lot of scheduled tweets to go out during my session. So there's definitely great ways to stimulate the back channel and get them involved with your sessions during a conference by using Twitter.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm actually following two conferences today. I've got the CLO symposiums going on and the Gartner PCC on IT and different technology. That's going on out here in LA, and I'm following that thanks to Steve Nguyen and Shasha 16. So it's an amazing tool to kind of pull you in. If you can't attend a conference, it's a great way to pull you into some of the highlights of the conference.
Now, were they filming Learning Solutions? Any of the sessions?
I don't think so. I didn't see. I saw the camera around, but it was usually outside. It was filmed. I'm sure they filmed the keynotes. But the other things, I don't think they did. Well, I know my sessions weren't filmed, and I didn't see many sessions that I was in being filmed. So I'm going to assume that they didn't. Yeah,
it's really a shame. I agree with what Geoff said earlier, that here you have, for example, the Adobe Learning Summit, 16 sessions, but you can only go to 4. And a lot of people were disappointed because they did have to make choices. There were a lot of really good sessions, and you couldn't really go to the ones maybe you wanted to, or you had to juggle. Okay, I'll go to this one this time, but I really want to see that one. And that's really a shame, because we could all benefit from a lot of that training. And if they did record some of that, that would just, and recording now isn't that expensive, really, to do a show like that. It'd be really a nice feature, and maybe just open it up to just either attendees, or if you can open up part of it to other people to get people stimulated to go to the shows. Yeah. So that's something we need to talk to Brent about, or some of the other people, and say, hey, why don't you guys record this stuff?
Yeah, I think he does the dev learn, but
being filmed was probably, they had a bit of a film of chit-chat going on after each event, I think. That's about all I saw being filmed, not the actual events. I think for a bit of a promo for the event.
I know Adobe in the old days used to have the what was it, Adobe TV, and they would have somebody from Adobe TV filming and talking to people, but it's not the same as actually filming the sessions, which would be great, because then the people who are attending and who are paying money for it can see other sessions that they'd love to see, but just had to make a choice.
Or even audio recordings of it. And I know ASTD does a lot of the audio recordings at their conferences.
That would help.
Because I know a lot of the sessions, the presenters make their presentations available, but like one of them said, the presentation's nothing without the presenter. It's a bunch of slides. Usually it's just a pointer for them on how to do it. It's not a self-contained thing that you can go and read and say, oh, that's what they presented. Because, they'll have a slide and talk to a slide for a few minutes. So you can't always get their downloads of what they presented, because it's a static slide, and it was them that you went to see.
Yeah, and oftentimes you've got really good audience questions. And you lose that, too, if you're only showing the slides and nothing else in the audio. Because the audience really, in many cases, takes the course off, takes the session off, and really lets it gain steam or momentum because they kind of guide it a little bit. A presenter can talk the subject matter, but then when there's areas that people really don't know or want to learn more about, that's where the sessions can get really interesting.
Yes, I see somebody else said they posted the slideshow, but that it was too limited. So I agree with them with that, as I said, because you can interpret what you will out of the slides. You need the presenter to be there to show what they meant about it as well.
Yeah. Terrence, how's the chat room going?
It's going well. We don't have a lot of questions coming out, just really typical comments, and it looks like GovLoop is starting to broadcast us on there. That's Aaron Silver's, one of his blog sites, I guess, and it looks like he's streaming us on there too. So that's great. It's the more places we're streamed, the better. So if you have a website that you want to stream us on, please, by all means, go for it.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, great. So Geoff, now that you've gone to the conference, what ways are you going to sort of re-equip yourself for the next conference that you go to? What experience always changes our habits. So based on your new experience, how are you going to approach the next conference any differently?
Well, I'm not too sure really, because I've been quite passionate about this thing for a while, and it hasn't made me more empowered, because I think I was there before that, but more so to share my information with the people I work with, and to get them to the stage where they love it as much as I do. So, because it is a job, but I'm quite fortunate that I love what I do. So it's one of those areas where it's great to be in. I don't think you can be in many jobs where you say, "Oh, great, it's money. Let's get stuck into that." It's a great way to be when you're doing that for a living.
That's true. That's real true.
And so, when I'll go back, I would like to be getting more resources for e-learning, but as I said, sharing the knowledge that I've got from this course and getting my people so they can do a bit more of it, and hopefully get them coming along to some conferences, and trying to see if there's anything back home that I can follow locally as well.
And one thing about this show in particular, there were product announcements, and actually quite a few, which is not that normal in shows in the last 2-3 years. So this is actually a good sign. It's a good sign for the industry, and the more products, the more competition, the more we all benefit. If you only have one product and everybody uses that, guess what? You're not going to have the amount of innovation that you will when you have multiple products. So this is great. I love when we have competition. Competition's good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, because as I said, I do use. I am an avid Captivate user. As I said, I haven't been using it long, but you still need all the other little packages along the way. Like I use Snagit as well. Mm-hmm. I don't think I could survive without that product without Snagit.
I think Snagit's one of the best tools in the industry, bar none.
Yeah, I think I use it on a daily basis in my work. I don't think there'd be a day that goes by when I don't use Snagit.
I use Snagit not only in the e-learning, but I have Evernote to take notes. I snag things, stick it into Evernote. It's just all around very convenient.
Yeah, and it's good for hiding things as well when you're doing your e-learn, to cut and paste things in there nice and easily.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing that the guild had mentioned towards the end of the session, and I want to kind of shout it out here too, is that they're looking for speakers. So don't disqualify yourself from becoming a presenter at the workshops, and especially theirs, where eLearning Guild and ASTD are definitely two different entities, and definitely both extremely valuable. But what I do find is that eLearning Guild has a way of capturing the users and putting them up on stage, whereas ASTD has a tendency to capture more of the high-level thinking, which is good for what ASTD does, and it's good for what eLearning Guild does. But for those of you that are disqualifying yourselves, saying that, no, I could never be a presenter, they're going to disapprove my proposal, I would highly encourage you to think differently about it and to submit a proposal, because that's what people want to hear. They want to hear from people that are using the tools and how you found workarounds and what you're doing out there that's innovative and creative.
Real world examples, real world life, you know.
Well, they had a session in there that was about how to creating cheap and effective e-learning videos, and it was from sort of a user, not a top end one, but how using their iPhone creating a very limiting one, but said everybody can do it. You don't have to have a top end budget if you just want to get your message across. And that proves Terence's point. It doesn't have to be people who've had 50 years experience in teaching and training. Just somebody who's picked up a great idea and has run with it and has done something with it.
That's true. And there's a lot of good innovative ideas out there that we don't know about. So it's always good to don't think that what you're doing is common or typical. Sometimes it's very unique and you might be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're quite surprised at how many people are out there who do want to hear your story. I must admit, I always start to think, why would anybody want to listen to what I say? But, I know what I'm talking about, and I forget that other people have no idea about this technology, and it looks really great and fantastic to them. And so, to them, I'm the expert.
What did you think of the keynotes?
Well, as I said, the way I went to the Adobe one, I didn't get to the way that it was advertised. I paid for my Adobe one and my pre-conference one beforehand. Then when I realised I could have got the other one, and anyway, the other one, but I did the Adobe keynote, and I thought that was quite good. The Steve Berlin Johnson, and got a nice book out of it as well, where great ideas come from. But he was quite informative and quite inspiring, I thought. And
I kept wanting a Kindle version of it.
Yes, I think we've got the only hardbacks in the country. I think everybody or electronic these days, don't they? So.
Yeah. I know for the learning solutions, I was quite impressed with the keynotes. They did a wonderful job, especially probably my most impactful from the perspective of building my expertise around authoring was Nancy Duarte's session.
She's great.
Visual storytelling. She was absolutely good. So
if you go to lynda.com, I believe she has creative inspiration on Nancy Duarte, and it's a really good video of how they look at life, how they look at projects, and how they get things out there. She's very innovative. It's a lot more about visual rather than just reading words, or how a word can enhance a visual rather than just reading words.
Yeah. And then they had Dr. Medina was the first day, and he was on Brain Rules for Learning. And he was quite interesting too. It was about retention and how we can make the training stick and how important it is what we do, but just that we need to have a better understanding of how that brain works and how to build some adhesion.
I was enjoying your back channel in that one because you were tweeting it out. I wasn't there, so I was listening to all the tweets and I was going, yeah, Medina's got it together. This is good stuff.
Yeah. And then the last one was Michael Welsh. Wesh, and he also did a great job with knowledge to knowledge able, and I'll try to find the link to his video, and I'll go ahead and tweet that into the eLearnChat hashtag.
That's great.
But it was definitely an interesting look at the classroom today and how academia has somewhat mastered the art of disengagement. Now, he didn't say that. That's me saying it. But with all the things that we're learning about how we learn, to sit in a classroom with 200 people and hear an instructor present, you would think that academia would get smarter than that at this point. But, it's the mighty dollar or currency, whatever the country you're in, is pushing us to still try to train in effective ways, where if you really want to preserve your currency, then train in more effective ways so that the return on investment is greater.
That's true. Well, guys, we're hearing that it's our end of hour. We've been on for a while.
We have, yeah. It's 10 to 11.
10 to 11. Jeff,
great-
really
great having
appreciate you
Jeff.
being with us today, and it was for Terrence and myself. It was a pleasure meeting you in person, and if nothing else, sharing a coffee together that one time for about an hour. So that was very pleasant for all of us. And sorry I got sick. I wanted to tour you around the area a bit, but next time you're out here, or next time we go to Melbourne.
Well, I do appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much for having me on. I know I did say I wasn't too keen at first, but then I thought if Lever can do it, I can do it. So you said Lever did it, so I thought I've got to do it for Lever to go on here. And certainly when it gives me another excuse to come out here again, so I definitely will catch up next time I'm out here. I'll keep in contact with the eLearnChat and the tweets, seeing what's going on as well.
That sounds great.
Great.
Well, Terrence, who's on for next week?
We got Jane Bozarth on next week.
Dr. Jane.
Author of Social Media. And then after that, I believe we have Kevin Thorne coming on the week after.
That sounds good. From Learning Nuggets.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
he came
got
up to me
great-
at the show. I really wanted to meet him. And I guess it was right before I did my presentation. And he says, I came up to you. We met briefly and I left. And I go, I don't remember it. He said I was struggling with my microphone at the time, so I guess I didn't really notice him. I'm not even sure if
Yeah.
he said anything other than, and Leslie said she saw somebody named Kevin, but it was so fleeting, he was gone.
I didn't
even think to
realise
introduce the
until,
two of
I
you,
actually
but I don't
met-
think I saw the two of you together either. So
No, it must have been really quick. I think he did a ninja thing on me.
yeah,
I said I didn't realise until I met Kevin that he was learning nuggets, and I think Gina did a tweet about people not having their faces on their thing, just having their company emblems. And I didn't realise until I saw this little picture, maybe a little Dilbert character on his T-shirt.
Yep.
And then I thought, that's the Learning Nuggets fellow, Kevin Thorne. So,
Yep, it's great. All right, everybody, thanks for watching the show, and please subscribe. You can also see the show later on, the shorter version of it, on Vimeo at vimeo.com/channels/eLearnChat. We've got all 16, and now this is going to be 17. We'll have this up later on today. Terrence?
it's been a pleasure, Rick and Jeff, and once again, Lily, you are in our thoughts. Absolutely,
That's
you
for
and your
sure.
husband.
You tell Pierre, get better for us.
certainly.
You have a safe flight back, Jeff,
Thank you. I shall do.
and stay
Safe
comfy
travels.
on those crowded planes.
See everyone next week.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.